Welcome to Witty Quiz Hub. Today, our quiz is about Alexander the Great. There are 45 questions, and you will get 5 seconds for right answer. If you need more time, you can pause the video.
Ready for the Alexander the Great challenge? In which year was Alexander the Great born? Where was Alexander born? Who was Alexander's father? Who tutored Alexander in his youth? Which famous horse belonged to Alexander? At which battle did Alexander defeat the Persian king Darius III for the first time? Which major battle, 334–333 BCE, saw Alexander rout Persian forces near the southern coast of Anatolia? Which city did Alexander famously besiege for 7 months in 332 BCE? Which Egyptian city, founded by Alexander, became a major Hellenistic center? Which oracle did Alexander visit in the Libyan desert, where he was hailed as a son of Zeus Ammon? What river marked Alexander's easternmost advance when his troops finally refused to march further? Who was the Persian king Alexander repeatedly fought and ultimately overthrew? At which decisive battle in 331 BCE did Alexander defeat Darius III and essentially end Persian power? Which close companion and general of Alexander died in 324 BCE, causing him deep grief? Which Indian king did Alexander face at the Battle of the Hydaspes? Which region was Alexander campaigning in when his horse Bucephalus reportedly died? What title or recognition did the Oracle of Siwa give Alexander? Which city did Alexander famously burn, though accounts vary, after invading Persia? What tactic or method did Alexander often use to win battles? What large desert crossing caused heavy losses and pain for Alexander's army on the return from India? Which Macedonian general seized Alexander's body and brought it to Egypt after his death? Which famous knot did Alexander solve by cutting it with his sword? What year did Alexander die in Babylon? Which culture's dress and customs did Alexander adopt later in his campaigns, causing controversy among his Macedonians? What was the primary language of administration that spread because of Alexander's conquests? Which political era did Alexander's conquests help to begin? Which sea did Alexander cross when he set out to invade the Persian Empire? Who led the Macedonian phalanx infantry under Alexander? What famous historian and biographer later wrote a major account of Alexander's campaigns, though not contemporaneous? How did Alexander treat many of the local elites and rulers he conquered? Which city became the burial place for Alexander's body under the Ptolemies? Alexander married Roxana, who was from which region? Which phenomenon describes the spread of Greek culture across Alexander's former empire? Which of these generals was not one of Alexander's immediate successors? Which fortress city did Alexander liberate and then found as a Macedonian garrison town in the Indus region named after his horse? What famous tactic did Alexander use at the Battle of Issus and Gaugamela to break Persian lines? Which Macedonian city-state served as Alexander's homeland and power base? What governmental system replaced Alexander's empire after his death? Which famous classical author composed an epic that celebrated Alexander's deeds, although from a later period? Which body of water did Alexander sail along after founding Alexandria in Egypt? What was the name of Alexander's mother, known for her influence and ambition? Which Macedonian victory as a youth established Alexander's early military reputation? Which administrative policy did Alexander employ to integrate conquered peoples? What often described Alexander's personal ambition after early successes? How is Alexander commonly remembered in world history?